The Bears. The Bears. Final score, Bears. Final score, Bears, 5,336 to 4 against the Redskins. Anyway, on a more serious note, I got a request from my niece. She came up with another good topic, and I want to cover this topic here because this is a topic that affects us, all of us. It affects us. We got kids, we got grandkids, and it's something that we can't overlook. We really have to pay attention to. It's happening way, way, way too often, and now you have people that are hiding behind this so-called zero tolerance garbage that they've thrown together in the school system. And the topic tonight is kids being arrested in school. I'm talking about 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds being arrested, handcuffed in school for doing, little simple things, man. Passing a note in class to another kid, doing stupid stuff, shooting spitballs or whatever at another kid. Stupid stuff, man, these are the kind of things that kids do. That's why they call them kids. They're not adults. These are children. These are babies. But the system has decided, well, let's get started early. Let's go ahead and start arresting them at 5, 6, 7 years old and get them used to going to jail, get them that in the system. So when they get older, it'll be just like, oh, okay, well, I've been to jail before. They'll be right at home going to the jail and to the penitentiary. You starting them out, taking them to jail at 5 years old. So it's really, really crazy here. And so here's one story. So we've all seen the image of Ahmad Muhammad in handcuffs. A 14-year-old boy was arrested after showing a teacher a digital clock that he made. The aspiring engineering student was rightfully proud of his accomplishment. However, the teachers in Texas automatically assumed that the Muslim boy, black Muslim kid with an electronic looking thing with wires, was there to blow up the place, and they called the police on him and had him arrested. Luckily, no charges would be filed against him, but the taxpayers had to pay. They're on the hook for having a kid come, police coming down there, discrimination and all that, plus a looming multi-million-dollar lawsuit for discrimination, unlawful arrest, and violating his civil rights. Of course, these type of arrests are nothing new, but given the recent issues with police, it's something that will only get worse. Therefore, keeping with the theme of idiotic arrests made by even more idiotic police officers, let's take a look at some of the more outlandish reasons kids have been arrested or threatened with arrest. Number one, at a public school in Texas, a 12-year-old girl named Sarah was arrested for spraying herself with perfume. Two, a 13-year-old student at a school in Albuquerque, New Mexico was arrested by police for burping in class. Another student down at Albuquerque was forced to strip down to his underwear while 5 adults watched because he had $200 in his pocket. The student was never formally charged with doing anything wrong, so I guess they assumed since he had $200 in his pocket, he must be dealing drugs or something, so they did a strip search on him at school. A security guard at one school in California broke the arm of a 16-year-old girl because she left some crumbs on the floor after cleaning up some cake that she had spilled. Oh, God. One teenage couple down in Houston poured milk on each other during a squabble while they were breaking up. Instead of being sent to see the principal, they were arrested and sent to court. Case number 6. A 12-year-old girl at a school in Forest Hills, New York, was arrested by police and marched out of her school in handcuffs just because she doodled on her desk. She did a little cartoon or something on her desk. And so she said, I love my friends Abby and Faith, and what she reportedly scribbled on her desk. And they took her to jail for that. 6-year-old girl down in Florida was handcuffed and sent to a mental facility after throwing a temper tantrum at her elementary school. So basically, well, I'm going to save my comments to later at the end. So here's one student in Texas who was reportedly arrested by police for throwing paper airplanes in class. 17-year-old honor student in North Carolina accidentally took her father's lunch with her to school. It contained a small paring knife, which she would use to slice up apples. So what happened to this standout student when the school discovered this? The school suspended her for the rest of the year, and the police charged her with a misdemeanor. That's for having a knife that she grabbed her father's lunch instead of hers, and they had a little, paring knife is a little tiny little knife that you use for like cutting fruit and stuff like that. Number 10, in Allenstown, Pennsylvania, 14-year-old girl was tased in the groin area by a school security officer, even though she had put up her hands in the air to surrender. Number 11, down in Florida, 11-year-old student was arrested in jail and charged with third-degree felony for bringing a plastic butter knife to school. Number 12, an 8-year-old boy in Massachusetts was sent home from school and was forced to undergo a psychological evaluation because he drew a picture of Jesus on the cross. Wow. 13, a police officer in San Mateo, California, blasted a 17-year-old special education student in the face with pepper spray because he would not quit climbing on the furniture. This is a special ed class kid got pepper sprayed by an overzealous idiot over there with a badge. Number 14, a 5-year-old boy was arrested, handcuffed, and had zip ties placed on his hands and feet and was forced to go to a psychiatric hospital. The boy suffers from ADHD and had pushed the cop's hand away from him. He was charged with assaulting a police officer for pushing the cop's hand away. Don't touch me. At one school in Connecticut, a 17-year-old boy was thrown to the floor and tasered 5 times because he was yelling at a cafeteria worker. A teenager in suburban Dallas was forced to take on a part-time job after being ticketed for using foul language in one high school classroom. The original ticket was for $340, but additional fees have been raised to the total bill of $637. So that kid had to in school cussing, and they wrote him a ticket, some kind of ticket, and it came out to a total of $637. So he had to go get a job just so he could help pay that, because obviously his parents didn't have the money. Police were called out when a little girl kissed a little boy during a PE class at an elementary school down in Florida. A lot of this stuff is happening like in Florida here. The 6-year-old boy was charged with sexual battery for some inappropriate touching during a game of tag at one elementary school in the San Francisco area. Number 19, the Massachusetts police were sent out to collect an overdue library book from a 5-year-old girl. And 20, the 13-year-old boy was arrested for kissing his classmate on a dare. Now he faces second-degree assault charges. So here's the dumbest of all. 13-year-old student was arrested for, drum roll, farting in class. Yes, I said farting. The 13-year-old boy had a bad case of gas. The school resource officer was called to interrogate the young man, who subsequently copped to being the phantom farter and was arrested for disrupting the class. Wow. This is crazy stuff, man. You talking about he might be farting in class, but this whole thing is foul when you ask me. When you're talking about these are children that have arrest records now because they're overzealous, and a lot of this stuff. If you look at it overall, you see, well, it's only happening to minority kids. It's not happening to white kids. I think I might have saw maybe one case where a white kid was arrested a few weeks ago, and this was another special ed kid that had some kind of mental issues. So, hey, this kind of stuff is going on. This is what's going on in America now. So when I see people talking about coming across the border, talking about trying to come here, my question is why? Why you want to come here? This ain't all that great. It's not as great as you think it is. It's pretty doggone foul if you ask me. So watch your kids. Start listening to your kids. Start talking to your kids and your grandkids. Start asking them questions about how the teachers are treating you at school, how the security guards are treating you at school, how the principal is talking to kids, if they're saying bad things, about minorities in classroom. Talk to your kids and open up a communication with them so they can tell you exactly what's going on in that classroom. And the thing that we really need to do instead of arresting these kids is getting rid of these sorry, pitiful, incompetent teachers that they got going on and trying to change this system. Because after your kid goes, say your kid, this is the process. The kid gets started, he's going to jail at 5, 6 years old. By the time he gets to he's 10 or 11, then they start saying, well, your kid is still acting up, so we think he needs to get placed in this other class with these other kids here because he's not learning at the rate that he should be learning. And then by the time they get 13, 14, around that age, going to high school, then it's like, oh, well, your kid is doing this, so they need to take these ADD pills. They need to take these ADHD pills here. Take this Ritalin, and they start giving your kids drugs to sedate them because they don't it's a cultural issue. Those white female teachers are afraid, especially of those young black male kids. They're afraid of the young black girls too, but they're more afraid of the young black male kids, and the kids are bigger than them in certain cases, and they're afraid of them, so they want to have them drugged up or basically removed from their classroom because they're scared of them. You have to be active in your kids' education, especially by the time they get around 10 years old, and you got to have a father figure, some kind of man around to help you with this. If it's a single family situation, you have to get help because that age of 10 to 13, that's that age when the school system tries to screw over your kids, and they try to they put your kids in a little basket, and those kids might have been doing fine up until they get to that age, and it's all goes with the whole systematic white supremacy garbage that they got going on, that they'll try to make your kids underachievers. Those kids they really need to be challenged more on a mental level, and they really need to know the difference between the mental and the physical situation that they got going on. So these 10, 11, 12, 13-year-old kids, they got all this energy and everything. The teachers don't know how to handle them because they're used to dealing with white kids talking that time out stuff, and little black kids need a little more attention. That's all they need is more attention, but the teachers are not willing to give them that attention. And another situation you got to realize is if they teach your kids are going to have to compete against their kids when they get older for jobs and all that. So there's a lot of them out there that do not want your kids to make it. They don't want them to make it. So wake up, be more active in your kids' education, and pay attention to what's going on in your kids' school. And so that's my story. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. The Bears.
KP in the news.
It's the Bears. Monday Night Football. Beating up on those Redskins over there. The Bears.